Greater Media Broadcast News.
Welcome to another edition of Greater Media Broadcast News. I'm Susie Shea, bringing you this week's top headlines from Central New Jersey. Our main story this week involves the loss of ratables from unused buildings that have remained vacant despite attempts to redevelop the spaces. Whether it's a shuttered Ford plant in Edison, a Johnson & Johnson complex in North Brunswick, or an Aero Marine factory in Keyport, local governments have invested time and money to bring these massive spaces back to productive, tax-paying uses. Despite decades of limited success in many local towns, there is hope, even at the country's largest vacant office space right here in New Jersey. In Homedale, a redevelopment plan has been proposed for a 2 million square foot former Bell Labs building. Let's find out more from Keith Humiller.
In 2006, Alcatel-Lucent moved out of the 2 million square foot former Bell Labs building in Homedale, making it the largest vacant office building in America. After years of false starts for multiple developers, a formal redevelopment plan for the building has finally reached the Homedale Township Planning Board. Lakewood-based Somerset Development is proposing to repurpose the iconic building as a mixed-use town center, incorporating health, wellness, and medical establishments alongside eateries, a hotel and conference center, a public library, and more. Somerset professionals say the building, which could take 5 to 7 years to fully occupy, could generate millions of dollars in tax revenue for the township. The proposed redevelopment of the building is the first phase of a much larger project that would bring up to 225 luxury homes to the 472-acre site that surrounds the building. That phase of the redevelopment would not come before the board until it makes a decision on this first proposal.
A local theater company is adding a unique feature to their latest production. Here's Stella Morrison with more details.
The Main Street Theater Company of Sayreville now incorporates sign language into some of its performances. The company began its first full run with sign language with Peter Pan and Wendy, performed for 4 shows with an all-children's cast.
Once it gets out to the deaf community that that theater company offers a service, then they tend to go to that theater.
Traditionally silent character Tiger Lily the Indian princess used sign language to communicate instead of making up movements or going through a mediator.
Well, it was a little tough to learn at first, but then I started to get used to the signing, and then it got easier for me.
Incorporating sign language is part of the theater group's ongoing mission to reach out to groups who need accommodations. For Greater Media Newspapers, I'm Stella Morrison.
Thanks, Stella. Some New Jersey residents have taken a plunge to promote the importance of clean water. We go to Nicole Antonucci for more.
Advocates for clean beaches took the plunge into the Raritan Bay last week to raise awareness for water quality testing. Activists with New York, New Jersey Baykeeper and the Waterkeeper Alliance took a swim off Union Beach Public Beach to promote clean water as part of Swimmable Water Weekend. Waters along the bay are not often tested for cleanliness since they're not considered bathing beaches. The issue is a concern because people still swim in undesignated areas, such as the beaches along the bayshore. The Union Beach Swim was just one of 200 community events in 20 different countries that took part in the weekend events and social media activities to raise awareness. People can also view the swim guide on the Waterkeeper website to learn about their beaches, report pollution, and add photos and information about their own communities to bring attention to their water quality issues.
Thank you, Nicole. Other important headlines include National Night Out, which is being hosted throughout New Jersey this month. The worldwide event aims to engage the community and promote crime and drug prevention awareness. To see what your town is doing for National Night Out, see your local Greater Media newspaper. The historic Red Bank train station is entering the final phase of renovation this fall. The $1.6 million project will wrap up with a revamp of the waiting area and the exterior. For more details, see this week's edition of The Hub. 2 Seabright Beach clubs are laying the groundwork to come back strong after Superstorm Sandy. The popular Donovan's Reef and the Mad Hatter are planning new amenities for their customers. This week's edition of The Hub has more details about their rebuilding efforts. A new way to keep trash out of landfills is gaining speed. Free cycling, where individuals donate items they no longer want to organizations, is a new way to go green. The Middlesex County Improvement Authority now has a print and online guide to all things free cycling. See your Greater Media newspaper for more details. The 75th Annual Middlesex County Fair will be held next week. The event will take place in East Brunswick and will offer entertainment, food, and much more. For more information, see this week's Sentinel and Suburban newspapers. What's almost as good as seeing Bruce Springsteen and Jimmy Buffett perform live? Watching their tribute bands rock the stage. Throughout New Jersey, tribute acts such as the E Street Band and Jimmy and the Parrots are taking over local stages. For more information on these groups, see a Greater Media newspaper today. And now we have Mark Rosman with more headlines from this week's papers.
There's a local event coming up in Manalapan this week that I think will have a broad appeal to our viewing audience. On August 3rd from noon to 10 p.m. at the Manalapan Recreation Center on Route 522 in Manalapan, the Manalapan Arts Council, in conjunction with the Brennan Stands Alone Foundation, will be presenting Vetstock, New Jersey 2013. This music festival invites the entire community to come down and support a tremendous cause. Proceeds from Vetstock 2013 will go to the recuperation and rehabilitation of soldiers who have been wounded in war. The Brennan Stands Alone Foundation takes its name from Brian Brennan of Howell, who was injured in Afghanistan in 2008. Brian has since gone on to make an amazing recovery and today continues to serve in the United States Army as a captain stationed in Georgia. The news transcript contains a story this week which tells exactly what Brian went through and what his family went through as he was going through his rehabilitation. The Brennan Stands Alone Foundation has since helped other veterans and continues to do so. Vetstock, New Jersey 2013 is sure to be a great way to show your support for people who fought for our nation. It'll take place on August 3rd at the Manalapan Recreation Center from noon to 10.
Thank you, Mark. Long Branch is moving forward with plans to build a pier and ferry terminal. The city is currently looking for a firm to design the space, and the project is expected to cost $100 million. But that's not the only place in Long Branch that will be getting a makeover. Here's Gloria Stravelli with details about a warehouse on Lower Broadway.
Those of you who have been following Long Branch's redevelopment over the past decade know it's had its ups and downs, legal battles, bankruptcies, and the national black eye over eminent domain abuse. But there may be cause for hope. Local investor Preston Casertano bought a 14,000 square foot warehouse on 2nd Ave near the badly deteriorated Broadway corridor and plans to convert it into a public space that will house a beer garden / beer hall, a microbrewery, a restaurant, and a public space that will serve as a town square and host art installations, events like weddings, pop-up restaurants, and more. He calls it the Whitechapel Project, after the gritty East London neighborhood that has a rich history in popular culture and literature. If Long Branch proceeds with plans to redevelop the nearby train station, this may just be the beginning of the long-awaited turnaround. In Casertano's own words, it could become a creative destination, the gateway to a reborn Broadway.
An Edison library had quite the visitor last week, a 15-foot Tyrannosaurus Rex. Here's Amy Rosen with more details.
The North Edison Public Library had a lot of little special visitors and one very big one on July 24th. A dinosaur wrangler and a dinosaur troubadour from Field Station Dinosaurs entertained and educated about 250 children in the parking lot of the library.
Field Station Dinosaurs is a theme park in Secaucus, New Jersey, with a big emphasis on education for children about dinosaurs. We have 34 life-size animatronic dinosaurs, along with interactive puppet shows with animatronic and puppet dinosaurs that the kids can learn about dinosaurs and about the environment and the animals that existed right here in New Jersey.
And with a strong emphasis on the fossils and dinosaurs that were found in New Jersey, because New Jersey itself has a very rich history of prehistoric life and the fossils that were found.
They sang dinosaur songs, read a book called Dino Trucks, and danced like dinosaurs before the guest of honor, a T-Rex, emerged from a truck to say hello and interact with the crowd. This is Amy Rosen for Greater Media Newspapers.
What's music without a little mayhem? Tom Castles brings up the highlights from last week's Mayhem Festival in Homedale.
My most recent musical adventure took me to Mayhem Fest at PNC Bank Arts Center in Homedale. Out of the 4 summer festivals I've been to so far for Greater Media newspapers, Mayhem Fest took home a few superlatives. 1, it had the loudest music. 2, I saw some of the best showmanship on stage from the bands that were performing. And 3, it had hands down the most passionate fans. I can just about guarantee you've never heard any of the event's headliners on the radio, excepting maybe Rob Zombie, who had a few hits in the late 90s. But apparently the radio is no signifier of what's popular anymore, because fans came out to PNC to support their favorite acts by the thousands. Let me introduce you to our superlative winners. How's this for loudest music? Here's Johnny Davey of Job for a Cowboy, whose bellows, growls, and screeches could probably be heard from the Parkway. How's this for best showmanship? This is Amon Amarth, a Swedish death metal band that sported a 20-foot-tall Viking ship on stage, complete with a fire-breathing dragon. And how's this for most passionate fans? The fans at Mayhem Fest were as much a part of the event as the bands themselves, chanting their favorite acts' names before and after their half-hour to 45-minute-long sets. There was a genuine feeling of fraternity at Mayhem Fest, where metalheads could be found grilling in the parking lot, supporting local vendors, lifting each other up to crowd surf, bumping shoulders in the mosh pit, and headbanging and pumping their fists to some of the heaviest sounds in music. The event's headliners included Amon Amarth, Rob Zombie, Mastodon, Five Finger Death Punch, Machine Head, and Children of Bodom. While walking through the crowds and watching the bands, I realized that Mayhem Fest was less about mayhem than it was about harmony. A few thousand fans and 15 bands converged on PNC to share their mutual love for heavy music with a pure and passionate energy.
Before you know it, summer will be over and fall will be here. Greater Media Newspapers wants to remind you that our annual back-to-school section will be in papers next week. Make sure you look for our annual guide to the best schools and activities for your kids. Find out more about open houses, class schedules, and information regarding what is going on in your community for kids. Whether it's dance classes, art classes, or private schools, Greater Media Newspapers is your guide to what to do for the new school year.
For more in-depth coverage and additional stories, pick up your local Greater Media newspaper today. This is Susie Shia. Thanks for tuning in.